post the workout, but don't worry about looking. I'll just tell you verbally. If you need to look at it, you certainly can. So essentially, our first and second parts are, I would say, not equal volume, but the rounds have gone up to 5 on that first part. So 5 rounds of 20 alternating Cossack squats, and that's total, by the way. So that's 10 per side, not 20 per side, just to be clear. Okay, so don't do 100 Cossack squats per leg. Okay, so alternating, right? You shift right, shift left, to right, and you can add weight or not to this. The nice thing about this movement is depth is not a given, meaning you do not have to get to a certain depth. We're respecting certain hips, knees, ankles on each side. And then 10 Superman lifts. So kind of an upper back, upper body, I would say, correction more for cycling, I would imagine, than maybe swimming, but instead of kind of this rotated down TT or even an arrow tuck, it's the inverse of an arrow tuck. So we're just getting the upper. It's actually, well, or for swimming, it's helpful for swimming as well. It's kind of an upper right torso position. You've done this one before. We'll go over it again, I promise. The workout itself, 5 times through, 10 push-ups, 10 squats. Weights are encouraged, but by no means required. And then 10 half kneeling overhead press, and that's per side. I should say, I'm gonna say debate on that one, but 10 half kneeling overhead press, excuse me. I taught overhead squats yesterday. My coffee or tea hasn't kicked in either. So let's go ahead and start with our floor work as usual. A bit of cat-cows, just kind of checking in with your body. See how things are feeling this morning. And we'll address any questions you may have. So as we get into the movements, if by the time we start you don't understand, you can stop and ask.
Anybody else hear Joseph's voice in your head when you're doing these?
Same one.
I can never figure out the breathing, but I figure there isn't really a wrong way to do this. But maybe there is.
You come on Monday and you'll hear, and then you'll hear Joseph's voice in your head every time you do this.
So yesterday would have been the only Monday I could have made it, and I had just gone to my best friend's wedding.
And you probably would have had to have done them like this anyway, so.
Anyway, I was emotionally hungover from, not literally hungover, emotionally hungover. So alternating arms and legs, extend the leg, maybe lift the back leg if you want fancy. 10 alternating. What about your speed here? Good. And then from here, 10 reps of a push-up into a down dog. The push-up, again, assisted as needed. The down dog, I think we're all pretty familiar with. You can bend the back legs if you need to. And I can't see my head now. You bend your back knees if you need to. Just alternating between these two movements. Knees, no knees, up to you. And repeat. The down dog's meant to be more of an assisted stretch. Sorry, excuse me, active stretch, I would say. Really do great, but if anyone tight hamstring or you want to bias a hamstring stretch, a slight bend of the knee can do that for you. Okay. All right. Let's have a seat. Okay, we're gonna go 90-90s next. So feet, shoulder width apart, give or take. I'm sitting up tall here if you need to. So I'm trying to sit up tall. If you find yourself having to round your back, It's okay to either lift your bum, sit on the book, or just lean back, just to kind of allow for that to happen. Drop your legs off to one side. We're gonna repeat this for a total of 10. Shoot. Nope. Okay. Let's come to a standing position. We're gonna do 20 squats. This is meant to just warm up. We're not looking to go super deep if you're not ready to go there. Either way, I'm gonna show part of my body, can't do the whole thing. All right. If I miss space, hands up is an option, just not chest down. Okay. And essentially just squatting 20 times. Just seeing how hips, knees, and ankles are feeling today. So hands up are an option. Again, they're not a requirement, but it can be helpful when trying to keep the chest up. Good. Just kind of getting joints to move around, check in. If anything's feeling extra stiff, that's okay. Just good to recognize it's happening. That's all, really. So let's talk about Cossack squats, right? So let me take, I'm in the fun part of my bruising stage where it's colorful now. So we're looking at Cossack squats where we are taking a wider stance in our position. So I'm going to kind of show you hips down position on my camera. Toes forward or out, kind of up to you. Again, as long as the knee, hip, and ankle kind of track with that foot, it's less concerning there. And weighting, this is an option, but by no means a requirement. So essentially, I take a wider stance than I normally would. I tend to toe out a little bit, that's fine. As long as you're not like toed out this way. And essentially I'm going to shift to one leg, squat on that, come back, squat on the other. So if we look at the leg that I'm squatting on, it should look like the leg I'm squatting properly on. If you need to / want to, you can turn this opposite foot up. You will feel a stretch in this inseam, just a heads up, so don't be surprised. You do not have to turn that foot up if you want to, if you don't want to. All right, but let's do 20 alternating, 10 per side. Cossack. And you can play with your stance. So if it's feeling narrow, go a little wider. If it's feeling a little wide, come back in. You may weight these if you want. Sometimes it's not necessary. This is sort of a combination. It is technically a squat, but we are loading the hips just like we do a deadlift a little. So it's kind of a sneaky way to touch both. So we'll do the first round like we're doing now, unweighted. The remaining 4 can be done with weights or not, right? So holding a goblet like we've done in the past, even a barbell. If you have a barbell, good for you, go for that. Back racking, it's okay. Your Superman lifts, okay? You're gonna be on the ground and on your toes together. I'm gonna go diagonally, you can't quite fit here. And thumbs up. And then it's okay for my forehead to be on the ground here. And then I'm gonna lift, keep my toes down, so bite butt squeeze here, and just lift the upper back. Right, so I'm not necessarily lifting up, although you certainly could. Right, so either feet up or hands up only. Both are great. they accomplish pretty much the same thing. It's whatever naturally happens for you. Let's do 10 reps. So thumbs up. Forehead can rest on the ground to start. I want your toes to remain together though. That's the tricky part. It's okay if you're not on camera for this. It's gonna be a little more upper backy if you keep the toes down, upper to mid back. If you keep the toes, if you bring the toes up and squeeze your butt, you're still gonna get the upper back action, but be less localized. Beautiful. That's round 1. We're gonna do 4 more. You may add weight to those Cossack squats. If that doesn't feel like a good idea, don't. Right? Be smart about your choices here. A kettlebell, a pair of dumbbells, whatever you'd like. Again, kind of holding on your shoulders for the dumbbells, goblet, kind of holding your kettlebell here. So 20 alternating, again, 10 per side. I do 4 more rounds.
I gotta say, they're feeling like they're doing a lot in the hips just on their own right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot on their own. I totally agree with you.
And it might just be because of the load that like the riding load. I've been doing a lot of hill climbing and I'm just feeling it in this again.
Yeah,
Also, he's drank in a while, so there you go.
it could be all those things, but I agree. This is because it's essentially an assisted single leg squat, right? So you are overloading one direction. And so if that hip is feeling like a little spicy, yeah, as long as that spicy is a good spicy, you know?
Pretty spicy. It's a good spicy. That's my new.
We bought the papalote salsa.
Oh, I forgot I have some in the van. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome. I went to a wedding in New York this weekend. And that's when I'm emotionally hungover. So I was like, I can work Monday morning. I get home, I text my coworkers. I'm like, anybody want Monday morning? Anybody? Great, thank you so much. And slept till like 8:30. And I was like, whoa, okay, I guess I needed that.
I bet.
Yeah. So, what are you gonna do?
Oh, okay. I didn't. That's not really where it is now.
The Superman lifts in the arms, it's okay if you're not kind of in like an I shape and you're more like in a Y shape, right? So keeping the elbows straight, meaning so you need to widen out your hand position. That's okay. So kind of a little cactus. And Meg, you seem fine, but if you need to adjust the volume of those Cossack squats, right? We're doing 5 rounds of this, so 50 per side essentially. If you need to make that less, that's fine.
Feels like it's opening my hips up actually, so.
Yeah, it'll start to feel better, but if you're getting into it and you're like, that's just feeling unnecessary, which it can, I respect that choice. Like I said, turning that opposite foot up is an option, but again, that it goes directly into the adductor, basically your inseam, which connects directly into your groin. So just not say it's a no, but don't be surprised if you're like, "Whoa, that's pulling," because it will. Lisa, I know you're laying down right now, but when you had your arms crossed over your chest like this, it's very Mr. Miyagi. I don't know why. In my head, it was like Karate Kid. I don't know why that like it was just like Maybe it was in the movie. It's been a very long time since I've seen Karate Kid, so maybe I'm just making that up. And the better in the Cossack squat, the better your hip and ankle mobility are, the lower you can squat into. Not to say you have to do it right now. We are all not surprisingly extremely stiff. But there are people who squat like calf to ankle in this position, which I used to once. Not so much now. Good. Nice. Total of 5 rounds. We did the first one together. The remaining 4,
We have one more, I think we have more.
I think so. That sounds about right. Apologies for the coffee machine. The bird grinder's on.
Good morning, Nikki.
I hope he makes, judging by the length of that, he's making cup enough for 2 of us. I think, based on the length of the bird grinder. I think that's for both of us. I would say with the Supermans, try with the feet down and the feet up and see if you find a difference. When my feet are down on the ground or toes are down, I'm just lifting up my chest. It's very kind of mid to upper back. And for me, it's a correction for cycling, but I would imagine from basically what Nikki's explained to me in swimming, the chest, especially open water, the chest is up almost. It's not like inverse hollow. So hopefully this feels reminiscent of that. I say Meg could probably correct me on that one, but based on the body positions you talked about, especially in a wetsuit.
Oh, no, totally, and I swam yesterday, so. Trying to be here is
Yeah.
really hard, but
Yeah.
here kind of okay. So I was glad when you said that, because I was like, oh my God, the first round I was trying to do it with arms straight out. It was just too shoulder tensy, but yeah, really a good correction.
It just arms straight, right? Whether you're narrow or wide, in this case, has very little to do with the, I mean, it's not critical to the exercise. And I imagine a swimming stroke, you're not gonna force someone to pull from this position if they can't do anything here, if they need a little more room width-wise. So
Well, actually, the issue is that most people are too, like, it's not obviously not streamlining, but a lot of people are crossing over. And the more I work on my stroke being out here,
Yeah.
here it is for me. Except for streamlining, because then I'm like clasping and pushing.
I will say it might be worth playing with your hand position, your push-up. So if I know pulling, it's a push, not a pull, but if you're pushing up from here, right, a slightly narrower, so it'd be so overhead, it looks like this, right? But you're swimming from here, and so then you have to stabilize the shoulder from a wider position. It might be worth playing with even just plank holding slightly wider. It ends up being more chesty from a pressing position, but doing push-ups from this position and having a bigger arm slot between the arm or the elbow and the rib cage is going to be where you're pulling from, which I know is not quite the same, but you are kind of building that wider stance on the hands. Or honestly, just playing with your push-up positions in general. Just, there's not one way to do it. You can mess around with it.
Speaking of which,
Okay, so far so good. So speaking of push-ups, that was not a segue I planned, but I'm glad it happened. We have 5 rounds of 10 push-ups, and you can please break these up if you need to. Do not feel like you do 10 in a row every single time. 10 push-ups, 10 squats. These are just good old-fashioned squats. These can be weighted or not, but we're not shifting side to side anymore. We're just going up and down, right? Good old-fashioned squats. and then half kneeling overhead press, right? So a couple ways to get kind of overhead as well as just opening up a hip, a little bit both. I think at this point we're familiar with that one. The hand in which you press overhead with, I'm not really bothered. So meaning if my left leg is bent, so my left leg is in front, I can go right-handed, I can go left-handed, as long as my right butt cheek, the one that's behind me at the moment, is gently squeezed. So you're going to find a preference, basically.
So should we alternate like in different sets, or should we do half and half?
Great.
So we're not lopsided and on our butts.
Yeah, great question. Let's go ahead and have you do 10 per side. Normally I say alternate, but if there's 5 rounds, I don't want you doing 10 less on one. So instead of doing 6 rounds, let's do 10 here, and then you can switch arms, right? Or legs, but definitely switch arms. So go 10 per side, right?
On each round?
Correct.
Oh.
So if you need to drop that and you need to switch arms, right? 10 right, go into round 2, 10 left. I'm fine with that fine with that substitution. Just note that you're doing 5 rounds instead of 6. So you'll have a weird, it's not, your 10 less reps is not going to kill you. It's not going to make you any less strong. Okay. It's just, no, it's 5, not 6 rounds. I think
Doing 20 with 10 each per side or each round, or are we doing 10 per round?
So basically the options are if you for volume, if you can do 10 per side, so that'd end up being 50 per arm, right? That could be with lighter weights, especially if that's all you have. If your only option are bigger weights and you're like, wow, my only options are 25 pounds and up, that might be kind of spicy, not really what I'm looking for. Then it's okay to then just do 10 on one side, right? Do your push, go into your next round, and then switch arms for the next round. So essentially, depending on what you have available / what you can tolerate. So this might end up being 50 reps per arm or 25. Okay. Or you get the idea. The math is wrong, but you do half. Let's start with push-ups first. I'll stop giving options, Meg. Maybe that's too complicated.
My brain broke, sorry.
No, your brain, no, I don't think you're wrong here. I think I'm not communicating well. So options are never a good, never good. 10 push-ups, 10 squats. You can hold this in a front rack position where your dumbbells, I know it's a water bottle, carried it kind of on the shoulder, like this. Goblet, where you kind of carry your weights in front. If you have a barbell, cool. Big fan. You can do back squats or front squats. There you go. That's it. Yeah, and let that thumb come down towards the shoulder, Joseph. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Lovely. So as written, 10 per side. Think of this as an elongated stretch while doing something else. In your push-ups, whether you're bending your knees or not, go ahead and just squeeze your butt a little bit. Just a light butt squeeze just to keep the lower pelvic floor engaged, which by default engages or protects your low back. So it kind of serves 2 purposes. And we'll have time at the end of the session today to do some recovery and rollout. So don't feel like you have to run off, or if you're having, it is ideal, I know you can't always, ideal to mobilize / stretch something out after it's been used or while you're internally warm, right? So while you've warmed up your body. Nice job. With the pressing, think about breathing in as you bring the weight down to your shoulder and then exhaling as you exhale overhead. You can't lock out the elbow, or overhead is a bit of a problem. It's okay to go a little bit lighter on your weight, or frankly, a water bottle, right? Something very manageable. This is what, 700 mil-ish, nothing big. And go to whatever you can overhead. So we're not forcing any positions that we can't tolerate. My barista is coming.
Where's my barista?
You want to show them your outfit? I'm sure they'll like it.
Is he in this cozy?
This is
His cozy dress. That's a Janet dress, so.
Warm.
Thank you. When he first bought that thing, I was like, what in God's name is that? And then I tried it on and I was like, nah, it's pretty rad. Actually, I'm a big fan.
I made fun of it relentlessly, I'm not kidding. Janet walked around like a whole weekend in it.
Well, I think that's where Nikki discovered this thing. It's like, what is this and where can I get it?
But this winter, it's thinner like Polar Fleece, but Costco had them for like $9. And so I have a leopard print one. And it's not quite the same, but it's basically the same idea. And I was like, I must have it. My children also make fun of me relentlessly. I'm like, whatever, it's super cozy.
Yeah, that's what Nikki's like, this is comfortable. That's like, fair enough. I bet like when I want it, it's perfect. However,
Like here it's cold, but like we have really good central heating and shit. So
yeah,
it's not drafty in my house, but like in San Francisco, I would want it because it's drafty.
and we live in an old Victorian, so it is drafty.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, 14-foot ceilings are not conducive to heating things quickly. So, or maybe 12, whatever, tall enough. Yeah, so that doesn't have to do us any favors. Yeah, I wear wool socks here more than I wore in Boston.
Yes.
That's my feet get cold.
I think it's also like you're like, I'm in California, I don't need all the layers. And it's like, yes, you do.
Yeah. Nikki used to make fun of how I dressed because I grew up in the Bay Area. And then he moved here and he's like, oh, no, this makes complete sense. You wear a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and a vest and a jacket and a hat just in case you're crossing over into
The sunset.
the sunset or nourishment. And you're like, oh, yeah. It's like, yeah, you prepared, you know? You never know what's going to happen. Good. Nice job. Nice work. And just like anything else, if you're struggling with, as your fatigue kicks in, it's okay to take breaks within these sets. So if 10 is too much to do in one go, take a break. That's okay. As long as you complete 10 before moving on, that's the primary goal. Good. Nice work. What round are you guys on?
I'm on the 5th round.
5th. So it's just great. 4. That's okay, Risa. You're doing great. It's fine.
Well, I only did 10, I didn't do 10 per side on the overhead.
Yeah,
presses.
no, that's okay. I was just
But
checking
I'm
in.
on this side, so my sides are even.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I think on re-entry, this is a good one to do 1 per side.
I totally agree. And that's why I was not kidding when I said if the volume feels excessive, it's okay to manage that for yourself. There's a difference between being it's hard, I don't want to do it, and this is hard and I probably shouldn't do it. There's different, and I know you know the difference, but there's a difference between the two. Right, based on what you're going to do today and the training you have coming up this week. So if that feels like it's going to wreck you to the point where you can't swim, maybe no. Good job. Nice. Nice. It's like, have you finished and just hang tight? We will have time to roll out today. So, or I say roll out or address, I don't know, whether it's sport specific, so triathlon, or just day-to-day life stuff. They might be both. Sometimes they overlap. You can kind of show me a body part. We can try and address it.
Atta girl, Arisa.
Nice job.
Finish strong, girl. You're crushing it. Look at her, 10 per side. I did 10 per side the last time. I just didn't do it each time.
That's okay. I think that's
for you, Arisa. You look at how strong you are.
part of me really wishes that you had attachments for your dumbbells, like bubble attachments that you can make them look really big, like cartoon big. So when you're in video and people don't know, you can put like 20 kilos and just like, I don't know. Yeah. I just think it'd be great. Be a nice addition. Good. Okay, nice and warm. How are we feeling so far? Did that feel, I know we're some adjustments made. And it was shouldery going from the overhead press to the push-up. But the squats, I see you get a little reprieve, right? As in hands are below. Hands are nice and low. We're not doing anything crazy. Let's go ahead at the very least. Let's go for a figure 4. So figure 4, so with nothing, right, would be this guy. You can do the seated, of course, if you'd like. Kind of this lateral line. The more this knee drops or this foot comes forward, or both, you're accentuating the stretch on that leg. You could, of course, do this on a foam roller, should you choose. In which case, this is a short one, but the principle applies. If I'm going on my right side, I'm going to kind of have my right, I don't know, butt cheek on this, and then maybe a roll. Up to you, right? So just adding. This is a kind of a broad stroke. It's nice. It's not super aggressive. And I can press into my hands if it's too much, right? Or what Joseph's doing is pulling the knee to your chest and laying down, right? So instead of having compression, you just accentuate the stretch by keep grabbing. I just go through the knees, the same principle. the knees towards your chest. Okay. If you have a ball type thing, same idea. Put a ball on the side of the hip, hover over it, and kind of roll around. That's a little more acute, however. So there's that. I would say make sure you get both sides on that guy. Get a little upper back.
Yeah, I just a little neck. I've been doing a lot of swimming.
Instead of trying to, for the neck, instead of trying to go up and down, right, like rolling your neck like you would like your upper back, you can just start going side to side. So using it as a pillow. And instead of rolling, just kind of roll. So look to the, well, my left in this case. You're gonna kind of find that bone right below your ear. And then you can go the other way, nice and slow. This is a nice way to just kind of address that.
Ooh,
And it should feel nice, like genuinely, like not ouch painful.
oh yeah, that's some good shit.
And that's the way to, you don't have to like push or like load the neck, like you load your spine. And it's really much more gentle, but also frankly, nicer way to just get, especially if you've been sighting a lot or just swimming in general, but sighting especially. The neck, gets spicy pretty quickly. And then, yeah, keep rolling, guys. I'm going to show you a quick, I would say, it could be either primer or finisher. This is for the shoulder, which we did a lot of today already. But this is something that activates the shoulder, hopefully not super intense. It's not going to look huge. You're probably going to, I say laugh, but you're going to look at that and be like, how bad could that be? But this is a good like posterior shoulder, right? So behind the shoulder wake up, if you will. And this is something where I'll be facing down, so I'll explain it now. I'm going to face down, toes together, forehead on the ground. My palms will be up or down. And I don't want my shoulder rolling in at all, okay? So I'm kind of pulling off the ground. Look something like this. So toes together. I'm gonna start palms down. So my palms are down. And from here, I'm gonna just go ahead and lift my hands. I'm doing this 10 to 15 times. Right? I won't actually do 10 to 15, but you get 10 to 15 times. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn my palms up. Same thing. Right? And then you can go to the side. So the side one, so when you're in T shape, basically T's as in Y's, but laying down, do not overactivate this. Just lift the hand. So we're just going to lift the hand and come back up. The hand and come back up. So very to upper back, not neck and shoulder. Right now, obviously, if you're feeling super toasted from the workout, that's okay. But this is just a good way to get activation, and range of motion doesn't have to be huge. Just lifting up the hand an inch, maybe you're 2 off the ground or less. But it's posterior shoulder without rolling that shoulder forward. So keeping the shoulder blades down, right, retracted towards your spine.
Oh,
Think bottom of push-up. And with that T-shape, Meg, don't feel like you have to overactivate. Just lift just enough. Less than that. Yeah, that's all you need.
that's so good. So
Yeah, the
good.
T-shape one, just make sure you don't over cue that one. You don't have to like big like butt. It's not like now you're doing a butterfly stroke. We're just think like tiny butterfly. Just tiny little wings, right? So try not to overactivate that one. But that's just a way to, and you can do 1 or 2 sets of that pre-swim or maybe whatever. If you're doing strength work and you don't want to overtax the shoulder, you can sneak this in towards the end of your squats or deadlifts. And the shoulders hopefully will feel ready to go when you get to the pool or you get to whatever body of water you're in. So there we are. We were very efficient today, or I didn't do enough. I don't know which one, and that's okay.
Very efficient. Very efficient.
Yeah, we're usually more chatty. I think we're all tired today. And that's okay. But yeah, all joking aside, anything, I think we're all kind of taking care of ourselves here. Reese, do you have anything that's been giving you some trouble's not even the right word. It's just mildly irritating, like nothing you wouldn't normally complain about.
Definitely during the squats, I noticed that yeah, I worked my quads, and so this weekend, and yeah, the squats felt a little spicy.
Mm,
So, but nothing hurt. So,
that's good.
and the bike riding was on, what did I say? When did it happen? Oh, Sunday. Sunday.
Mhm.
So I've had a day of rest and yoga. So I'm assuming I'm adequately rested, and this is just, yeah, more. I should roll it more.
Yeah, if you have a foam roller, big
I
fan.
have a foam roller. Yes, it's just been easier to just lie down and throw on I got those Norman Tech boots.
I mean, those
And
work too. Those are you can do both of those things.
oh,
If you're doing, look, if you get home from your ride and you're like, nah, right, I'm just gonna take a shower, throw those on, totally fine. This is, I think, a great tool if you're kind of like post-workout. So just a quick roll, and it's a little, I will say it's a little easier to lay on it than it is to like roll yourself like a straight. But I totally understand either way. Is your foam roller short or long? Like short, long, somewhere
I
in the middle?
have two different kinds. This one was just the closest.
That's totally fine. Um, you could do your legs one at a time, or you can do them both at the same time. I like one at a time because I can
Okay.
just take an honest assessment of what each leg wants or kind of responds to. And rule of thumb, whenever you're doing any mobility, stretching, or someone's doing soft tissue work on you, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth is always going to be a good sign that that discomfort you're feeling is legit, safe. It's like type 2 fun. It's fine. Not type 3 fun where you're like, I'm never doing this again. Right? So colds, numbness. Hmm?
Keep coming back for more. Yes.
I mean, there is, type 2 fun builds character, I get it. But type 3 fun is just not fun anymore. It just stops being fun. And even in retrospect, it's not fun. So either way,
Out on the call last night, and what I would say is, like, the boots are so easy and they're great to do, right? And it's like, come home, have a shower or bath, throw those on. You're done. I like to just take the foam roller, even if it's just for like 5 minutes, and just roll through and see if there's spots that the boots didn't hide. Elizabeth, morning, my love. Because every once in a while, there's some points that it's like, oh, the boots didn't quite stretch that out, you know what I mean? And what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't have to be 3 minutes for foam roller, it can be 5, like 5 minutes with a foam roller, just getting a couple places that the boots didn't soften up can be magic.
yeah, they're
For me, it's like my hips and my glutes. If I'm just using the legs, they're not getting into my hips and my glutes, and sometimes my IT band a little bit, so I just like try to get those with the roller for 5 minutes, and then I'm done.
yeah, you can think 5 minutes, 2 minutes per side ish, right? You can plus or minus that, right? To round out the 5. And I think there's something said about the boot, using those two tools in combination together. It's like you have like a Theragun, like the percussion device, or any off-brand Theragun, whatever. And you're, using it on your legs. That's great. But foam rolling and stretching is also good as well. Like, so using them in combination and not necessarily at the same time, although in this case, what Meg is saying makes sense. For shortly after each other does make a little bit of sense here, or for one another. So it's not to say one is better than the other. I think they all have their merits, really. It's a matter of what you have available. Normatec boots, I think, are for the majority of people not going to be an option that they have, right? Right. And that's great that you have them. It's like having a little stem devices that like electrocute your muscles to help them recover. Like people don't have those little machines either. So usually foam rolling or a ball is, I would say pretty low entry point, but both are great. Can't complain about it. But the breath work just allows you to, is this discomfort good or useful? Or am I just suffering because I'm able to suffer? Because all of us, I think I found out we're able to suffer, and that doesn't always do us all the good in the world. So there's that tiny detail. I